What's going on, guys? It's Uncle Dallas. We are going to go into some stuff today, understanding the grace of God. A lot of us have been in situations where we want to move and we want to see God move, but you have to understand His grace. And if you don't understand His grace, what you find yourself in the midst of is trying to understand why your situation goes the way that it goes. So today we're going to go into a study, we're going to get some information, and we're going to really get into the understanding the grace of God today on the Higher Standards Organization. Hey guys, it's Uncle Dallas here on the Higher Standards.life. I'm going to talk to you about grace today, and a lot of us have thought we understood grace, but we really didn't understand grace. But now I'm going to teach you about grace at a different level. Most of us have heard good things about our lives, and because we do things, and when we do those things, we believe that, God has forgiven us. He's such a good God. He loves us, and all those kind of things. But that is a part of it. That is not the totality of what it is. That is just a portion of it. So today we're going to talk about the grace of God. We're going to go from 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter and the 9th verse. God's grace is sufficient for you. Here is where the challenge becomes very difficult. Most of us are dealing with a type of grace that does not put us in position where we can see God for who He is. So I'm going to talk to you about that because I'm watching people come say, hey man, well, I prayed, I asked God for something, and I got a call today, and the call today said, oh, I prayed and I had to understand the energy and the power and the force and all those things. So I'm going to get into that today and kind of give you guys a little bit of an understanding on how that works. So if we go to 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, and there's the 9th verse is where we want to concentrate, but I want you to understand the level of power that you can have and that you should walk in. And here's what it says. It says in the 8th verse, it says, for these things I besought the Lord 3 times, that He might depart from me. Verse 9, and He said to me, this is the Spirit speaking to this particular person, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I will rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in my infirmities, in my reproach, in necessities, in the pestilence, the distress, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, I am strong. Now, let's get down to the nitty gritty, okay? The number one thing you have to understand in this process is God does not look at you as this weak person that made mistakes and that your life is just this terrible thing. God looks at you as someone that carries His power. It's like someone giving you a gun and saying, okay, go out and hunt. And you're standing there going, how do I hunt? How do I kill it? How do I do? When He's saying the gun is in your hand. Here is the challenge. Most of us interpret our situation by what we can do and what we have. Okay, so this story is the story where this particular writer is saying, I have a thorn in my flesh. There's something in me that keeps pulling me back to the same relationships, the same situations, the same circumstances. There's something inside of me that is pulling me back to that thing. Even in the midst of it pulling me back, there's a grace, there's a line of grace. And that line of grace says, even though I go back, I still survive it. Even though I continually pick the same guy, I survive it. Even though I pick the same woman, I survive it. But the key becomes, why do I survive it? See, we look at the world through how most people think the situation works. We look at the world the way we handle it, the way we interpret it. So you are in a situation right now and you want to get out of the situation. Grace says you really don't want to get out of the situation. Grace says that even though you don't want to get out of the situation, I'm going to work toward getting you out of the situation. So you're going, okay, I want a new house. I want to move in new areas. I want to see new things. When in actuality, you really just want to turn off the pressure of the present things. You follow me? You want to simply just turn off the pressure of what's dealing with you. You want to let go of the pressure of the things that you're already dealing with. And so what's happening to you is your prayers define how do I get free from the pressure. And you hear anxieties and all these things that are happening, when in actuality, you are more powerful than each of these things. You're more powerful than each of these things. What do you do about that? It's very interesting that he said, follow me now, I asked God to deliver me from this situation. I asked God to deliver me from that situation. Now, how many of you are looking at situations right now, today, that you're asking God to get you out of? Right this minute. God, get me out of those situations. How many of you are praying for God to heal you, to deliver you, to give you money, to prosper you, to move you in any direction? How many of you are doing that right now? And it seems that no matter what you do, you're not out of it. It seems that no matter what you do, it doesn't work. Why is that? Now, here's what happens. What's in your hand is, I've done something wrong. God is mad at me. I'm not working as hard as I should. There are things I really should be doing. Maybe I need to work on myself a little more. Well, all these things begin to try to make sense to you. You start to think, what have I done wrong? And what you find is you haven't done anything wrong. What is taking place is you haven't allowed the grace of God to deal with you in that present situation. So let's go back to this. I looked at it, and there are two words I want to say, guys: sufficiency and grace. Sufficiency and grace. Because when you look at sufficiency, you look at it from a standpoint of it's enough. It's more than enough. And it's from a standpoint of this cup, the contents of this cup are full. So it's sufficiently full. It is satisfied full. It can't go any higher. It can't go any lower. It is as full as it's going to get. So in your mind, it's sufficient. It is more than enough. So here's what happens here. In this process of it, terrific, I thought I turned that off. In the process of it, what you're watching is your situation. Now, I just read an article, and it probably happened a little bit later. One of the major preachers of our time said, "Oh, guess what? I realized that tithing was done on the wrong foundation." Now, I've been teaching this for almost, I don't even know how many years. And I got people back away from me going, "Oh no, I just got to go through tithing." And so he backs away. Here's where I had the problem. The problem was the person that brought this to our attention, he was talking about, I guess he lied about tithing. What else is he lying about? Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to hear something from me very closely. What you have to understand in grace does not say that, I was right. Grace says that now that you've learned the truth, live in the truth. I don't want to reflect on your past. I don't want you to look at it the way I did it in the past. I want you to reflect on your truth. Why? Because what religion wants you to do is be contingent, be against one person over another person. What grace wants you to do is to accept them into the fold. Is everybody follow me? So let me jump back to where I was. So now you're dealing with something, and this is God's mindset when it comes to grace. You're dealing with something. You need money, you need a job, you need all these different things. Now, for a lot of you, opportunities are being presented to you. Opportunities are being offered to you. The key to that is you are not taking the opportunities because in your mind, the opportunity has a different perspective than what you think the opportunity is supposed to be. Because there are three things that grace talks about. Number one, grace talks about the timing, the nature of it, or the mentality of it, and the power of it. So grace says that that it is sufficient for what you need. Grace says what you have need of, God's Spirit is sufficient. The problem that you're going to run into is the fact that you feel like you know more than the sufficiency of God's grace. This is why you complain. This is why you have anxieties. This is why you have worry. This is because in your mind, you think you know what tomorrow is going to bring. You think you know how this is going to work out. And the reason you think you know how this is going to work out is because how it worked out yesterday, and the day before, even 5 days in a row, how it worked out, that's the way you think it's going to work out. Because in your mind, you've been trained that anything that is consistently happening can never change. But you changed. What you have to realize is the change that grace offers to you is saying, I have you, I got you from this point until this thing happens. What you have to do is stay under my covering as I begin to show you how to change. So he said, I asked God three times to pull this thing from me. I asked him 3 times, God, I got diabetes. God, I got diabetes. God, I got diabetes. God, I got diabetes. God, I need money. God, I need money. God, I need money. God, I need a job. God, I need a job. God, I need a job. God. Now here's where the situation takes place. Here's what I want you to know. You're asking God for those things, heal from sickness, a job, money, a relationship. You're asking God for those things because you want to satisfy a need or a lack that's in your life. You want to satisfy a lack that's in your life. And so what happens to you is you begin to request from God to satisfy the need. Now, the challenge you're having is in asking God to satisfy the need, you've never changed your mentality about the need. In asking God to satisfy the need, you've never changed your mentality about the need. Now, what do I mean? Watch this. Watch this. He said, I besought. Now, verse 7 is where we should have went to verse 7. Verse 7, check this out, guys. He said, unless I'm exalted above measure through the abundance of revelation, meaning unless what I know makes me feel like I'm better than anybody else, unless it exalts me above measure because of the abundance of revelation, through the abundance of revelation, there was given unto me a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For years, ladies and gentlemen, for years, I've been in ministry for over 35 years. And every one of those 35 years, this passage has meant the same thing. Now I'm going to do something. This passage has meant the same thing every time. For over 35 years, people have sent me and told me that this passage means one thing. This passage means one thing. Now, this passage has meant that the devil is placing something in my flesh. Yeah, 2 Corinthians 12, 7 through 9. The devil has God has let the devil place something in my flesh that is buffeting at me. And that buffet, he said, that was given to me. I want you to hear something, and I want you to pay attention because I'm going to teach you something. Lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelation, there was given unto me a thorn in my flesh, a messenger to buffet me. He said, unless what I know became greater than my ability to trust in God, there was an adversary. Because that word simply in the Greek means adversary. There was an adversary. There was an anti-person to my growth placed in my flesh. Here is where the challenge became. So he said, while it was placed in this flesh, he said, I asked God to get it out of my flesh. God, get rid of the, I'm tired of lack. God, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of not having a husband. I'm tired of not having a wife. I'm tired of being sick. I'm tired of being all these things. And so what happened in this story, this this character said, I asked God 3 times, and he said to me, my grace is sufficient for thee. And so I'm going, okay, God, we stop there normally. Most of us stop in that position saying, his grace is sufficient for me. His grace is all I need. And so what happens is we then move ourselves into a position where we don't do anything. Because we think that passage is telling us, okay, his grace is sufficient for us, so I guess I'll just let him handle that. No. Read on and pay attention to what you're reading and just read on. So verse 9 says, and he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee. Now, he didn't just say, it's fine, I got you, my grace has you. He says, for my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Now, what he's saying is, what you're battling is weak in your flesh, but you're strong in the spirit. You're weak in the flesh and strong in the spirit. What am I saying to you here? What I'm saying to you, and I need you to hear this. What I'm saying to you is, God is trying to explain to you that your process, though may not be something that you're going to enjoy, though it may not be something that you like, though it may not be something that you really understand, it's always building toward the strength of the Spirit of God in you. It's building toward your strength. You have to change your mindset when it comes to it. Stop being so smart. I know that just messed up a whole bunch of y'all. You want me to be dumb? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is, stop being smart in your own situation because of the experiences that the circumstances and experiences that have happened have made you believe that you know what's going to happen next, when you have no idea what's going to happen next. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know what God has shown you about tomorrow, but you have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. So when he said, my grace is sufficient for thee, because in your weakness I'm made strong, it means that now what you're dealing with is, God, it's yours. Whatever you tell me to do, however it comes out, it's yours. Why? Because God wants you prospering. God wants you better. God wants you making more. God wants you to be in a place of love, peace, and security. What you simply have to do is understand that what's happening in your life is not to define you and not to break you. It's sufficient for you. So when you pray, I just talked about this today. When you pray, you do not pray from a position of anger, disappointment, of sadness. When you pray from a position of God is sufficient. You pray from a place of God is sufficient. See what happens to us, and this has happened to me as well. I pray and I'm in such pressure that when I pray, I'm praying so the pressure will be off of me. I'm not praying at a point that lets God have free reign or freedom. I'm praying to let pressure off me. So I'm not praying in faith, I'm praying in hope. Please stop this from happening. Please stop this from taking place. Please stop this from going on. Please. And what takes place, I find myself not really trusting God, just want the pressure off me. I just want it off. I'm just make it stop, basically. Make it stop. But he goes on further. He said, my grace is sufficient for thee. In your peace, in your weakness, I am made strong. Most gladly, therefore, I rather glory in my infirmities. Now, I don't question the Bible. Okay, to a certain extent, I don't question the Bible. But I want you to hear something. What you're dealing with right now and what we're dealing with in our lives is a transition from where we were to where God wants us to be. There is a level of spirit. There's a level of the energy of God. There's a level of the power of God that God wants you to experience. But you got to go from this mindset to this mindset. His grace is sufficient. Don't calculate. Listen. I say a lot of times, which I will stop saying, that I have 180,000 followers on TikTok. I got 4,000 followers on Instagram. I got like 1,000 followers on LinkedIn. I'm not going to do those things. Why? Because those are purely the grace of God in my life. That's the only reason that stuff is there, is I have the grace of God in my life. That's it. It's not my ability to know the algorithm. It's not my ability. I make mistakes with the algorithm. I make mistakes with all those things. But what has to take place is I have to so depend on the Spirit of God. I've got to so depend on that Spirit that when He says move, I move. Why? Here's a part of grace. Timing. If God tells you something, if you feel something in your spirit, well, the Lord told me that I'm going to be a millionaire, start working toward millionaire status. Start building and reading and studying. When God says something, it is said because He's now graced that whole process for you. If God says that you're about to have a husband, begin to prepare yourself for a husband. I told you there are 3 things that you do to prepare yourself. If God tells you that you're going to write a book, start writing a book, because at the moment that He speaks is the moment that His grace has been released. The moment that He speaks is the moment that His grace has been released. Stop wondering at the moment that is happening, is God going to see you through? He's always going to see you through. He's always going to see you through. What you have to realize is that He places you in positions to make you stronger for the next position. Stop holding yourself accountable for mediocre people and small-minded people that try to define you. You are a king's kid and you are a prince. Forget king's kid. You are a princess. You are a prince. You are a royal priesthood. You're a holy nation. You're a prophet to the nations. So what's happening in your life is creating opportunity for you to be the prophet, to be the king, to be the prince that you're supposed to be. And when you understand that, you understand that you are not dealing with situations that are there to wreck you. You're dealing with situations that are there to make you stronger and prepare you for a better place. To prepare you for a better place. If you don't understand you're not being prepared for a better place, or you're being prepared for a better place, what you do is you define yourself, or you depend on the old place. Hear me. I do not care if your husband acted this way on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If for 6 days he did the same exact thing, you don't stop praying till day 7 it changed. I don't care if you get up and you feel the same way yesterday, today, tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. You keep praying, because what is maintaining you is His grace. And the timing of His grace is on Him. But you have to realize, from the perspective of God, what you must understand is grace is not defined by situations, but it's defined by timing. So you stay in His presence, you pray and you pray and you pray and you pray and you pray, because you have to believe it is going to change. You have to believe that it's not going to stay the same, it is going to change. If you don't believe that it's going to change, what you will in turn do is try to define the lack of change because of your circumstance or your situation. It is going to change. Everybody that can type, everybody that can write, I want you to put that. It is going to change. Nope, don't put that. Put it is changed. I wait to see it. It is changed. I'm waiting to see it. It is changed. I'm waiting to see it. It's already changed. Kairos time says it's already changed. Grace says it's already changed. Peace says it's already changed. The Spirit says it's already changed. It's already changed. I'm just waiting to see it. I already have the money that I need. I'm waiting to see it. I can't hold myself accountable for tomorrow. I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. All I know is that I'm on a path. I don't know how it's going to work out tomorrow. I don't know what's going to take place tomorrow. Many of you don't give into your situation. Don't transform your situation. Don't try to do anything. Why? Because in your mind, you are trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure it out. And while you're trying to figure it out, God has already worked it out. That's my Baptist thing. I want to preach. Y'all want me to preach? Ah! So it's already changed. That's how you live the life. It's already changed. You're simply waiting for the change. So you don't stop praying. You don't stop believing. You don't stop studying. You don't stop listening. You don't stop until you see the change. And when you see the change, you shift it to a new level. When you see the change, you shift it to a new level. Why? Because you have everything that you need to make this thing happen, but you've got to stay in it. You can't stop. I know that people are look like they're prospering, and people look like things are happening, and people look like things are happening better, and people look like they're winning. But I want you to understand, you don't have to take away from their win so that they don't have to lose that you may win. So you keep going until your victory takes place, because his grace is sufficient for you, and you are strong in every, hear me, you are strong in every situation where something is attacking you. The reason it attacks you is to stop you from seeing your strength. Y'all got that? The reason it attacks you is to stop you from seeing your strength. So let's read on down. Read this. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Verse 10 says, therefore I take pleasure in my infirmities, in my reproach, in my necessities, in the persecution. I take pleasure in it. The reason I take pleasure in it is because it doesn't affect me. When people say things about you, it doesn't affect you. When people say things against you, it doesn't affect you. You are exempt from the ability to bring you down. The only thing that can bring you down is you. But you have to be in a position that allows you to see the grace of God. You have to be in a position that allows you to see the grace of God. Most of us are not, and the reason we're not in the position to see the grace of God is because we think we should define every situation. I am here for you, for you, for you. That's my purpose. I fight. Where you have battles, I have battles. When you go through, I go through. Now, pastors don't want to say that because most of them don't, because they've detached themselves from being connected to God. And they attach themselves to being connected to what they desire in their circumstance, to their situation. They've attached themselves to the fact that you're supposed to take care of me, so on my anniversary, you get a Cadillac. Y'all don't even know when my anniversary is. You don't know what month I actually have an anniversary. That's not the goal. The goal is for you to be so obedient that God grows you to the position that you're able to do what needs to be done, but while he grows you to that position. Because my job is not to give you another ritual, another celebration, another anniversary to gain money from you. Do we have challenges when it comes to money? We don't have challenges. We just have people that don't understand. So what my job is to do is give you the understanding necessary so that whatever God wants you to do, you have the money to do it. I know about business. I've known about business for years. What I had to learn to do is put myself in a position where I'm able to help. So when people call me, they call me, but I'm in so many different places. So I'm going to do this for those of you that don't know. I'm going to put together a business conference, a business call, and we're going to start working on these businesses. But the bottom line is, I have a voice to help you speak to the next level. That's my job. My job is to help you see the next level and realize. So understand this. If you see a situation that's happening, you see it. You're looking at it right now. You have to now get it to be seen in your carnal mind. I need you to see the bills taken care of. I need you to see the healing in your body. I need you to make it so tangible that nothing on this planet can stop you from going after it. Nothing on this planet can stop you from seeing it the way God sees it. I need you so persuaded that God has you that when you move and make a mistake, you can just simply say, grace has me, I'll keep moving. Grace has me, I'll keep moving. You have to get to that place. You have to stop letting people control your movement, control your thought process. So he says, therefore I take pleasure in my infirmities. And I understand the word pleasure, and I'm not going to use the pleasure, but I'm going to use, I accept those processes that happen with me. Now, I told you I wrote some notes down. So grace, which means this, that which affords you joy, pleasure, delight, and sweetness. That which affords you joy, pleasure, and life. That grace affords you. Grace means you've been through enough that you now can afford the next level. Grace means that you have dealt with enough that you can afford the next dimension. So have you dealt with something in your life? I know some of y'all like, is that a rhetorical question? Have you dealt with a situation in your life? Have you had hurts? Have you had disappointments? Have you had situations that really messed your world up? Have you had them? If you've had them, you now qualify for pleasure, delight, sweetness, and it all comes through grace. Why? Because that thing that you made it through, you did not make it through because of you. You made it through because God powered you. He graced you. He gave you strength to get through. So now you get through, and you are taking into consideration all the things that happen to get you to this grace. Stop thinking and stop trying to feel like you know what tomorrow is going to bring. Well, I tried this, and I talked to one of the people today, day before yesterday. And I said, well, you need to go back to this place. Well, I don't want to go back, Uncle D. I don't need to go back, Uncle D. Okay. Because I'm not going to force you to get what God has for you. I'm going to let you go. They called me today, yesterday, and said, you know what? God blessed me in that situation. And they said, really? I said, really? I knew it the whole time. One of the mistakes I made, and somebody pointed this out to me, is because you're so close to me, you don't listen to me as a voice. You listen to me as a friend giving you advice. I don't take what I say lightly. I take what I say as it comes from God. But because you can fuss back at me and you can say stuff back to me, you don't really get the whole fullness of it. If I simply said something and there was no me to talk to about it, you would simply deal with it, you and God will give you an answer to it. But because I love you, I spend time with you, I call. This is why I pulled away from some of the appointments. This is why I started pulling away from some of those things. Because I need you to start taking the reins for yourself to get to where God has you. I need you to start empowering yourself to make this happen. Stop using me to figure out whether it was God or not. Pay attention to the teaching. Pay attention to the teaching. Pay close attention to the teaching. Why? Because the teaching sets you free. So I'm listening to this particular person tell me all this stuff, and I'm like, didn't I just teach you that? Do y'all listen to my preach? Do you listen to me teach? Some things reside, write this down, okay? Write this down. Some things reside in your mind, some things reside in your body, and some things reside in your spirit. Mind reside in your body and reside in your spirit. Some things stay in your mind, some things stay in your body, and some things stay in your spirit. The reason you pray is to merge the three together. So what do I say? I may say something to you like, I may say, go get a job. That thing will reside in your mind, and you'll begin to battle. I don't want a job. I do want a job. I wish I could get a job. Instead of going, he said, go get a job. I'm going to go start looking, and God will open the door. Why? Because there's grace. So if you don't let it reside, if you take it and bring it to the spirit, which means it doesn't just reside in your mind, then from that point on, you then see the manifestation of God's presence. So then I may say, I need you to pray. That thing stays in your spirit. You pray sometimes, and sometimes you don't pray because you have me to compare to, or you have me to deal with. If I tell you to pray, God told me to tell you to pray. And if he told me to tell you to pray, grace says I'm sufficient in the area that you need me because I'm going to make sure that what you are praying comes to pass. So it resides in your spirit until you put action behind it. It resides in your spirit until you put action behind it. And that's where a lot of people are having problems. They've never put action behind what they heard. They simply put thought behind it. Yeah, I think. They've never allowed it to attack or deal with their hurts, their insecurities, their situations, their circumstances. So what happens is you hold on to this thing, or somebody says something, and now you're stuck. Now, I'm not going to do this whole hour because I need you guys to study. Everybody that's a part of the mentoring group, everybody that's a part of that, I'm going to give you some passages. If you're part of the mentoring group, I'm going to give you some passages. Those passages are passages about grace. I want this week coming up or over the weekend, I want you to study grace. I want you to study everything you know about grace. I want you to study the timing of grace, the nature of grace, and the power of grace. I dealt with the timing of grace. Grace is added to whatever God says. Okay? So, everybody now, if I say, okay, everybody do something, send something to Cash App, which I did last week, and thank God for those that did it. If I say everybody send something to Cash App, what you have to understand is that's a timing. When that opportunity presents itself, operate in the timing. Why? When I say it, inspired by God now, not just as I feel it, not just because I'm waking up and I'm hungry, but when I'm saying it inspired by God, as you address it, God opens up something for you. It becomes a key. Now, that key is not defined by your incapable ability, meaning you can't actually do it. It's defined by your ability, your capable ability to do it. So let's take it a different. Everybody that can, I need you to send $100. If you don't have $100, that situation does not apply to you. But the desire in your heart to do it is the same thing as the people that desire to do it and don't do it. Your heart is graced by what you want to do. So God will bless you so that you can do what you need to do. Why? Because whatever he is releasing within that obedience to his spirit, he wants it released to you. Does that make sense? Why? Because it's already changed. God's grace says, I know what tomorrow is going to do. Do something today and I'll take care of it tomorrow. I said to this particular person, go back to work. I think you should go back to work. I think you should go back to your job. No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Okay, fine. So all of a sudden the job began to engage this person like they work there. And they called me up, Uncle Dallas, I don't understand. You don't understand that you don't know what tomorrow brings. That's what grace is. Grace says, I got your tomorrow covered. Somebody needs to write that down. Grace says, I got your tomorrow covered. Grace says, I've calculated all the things that have happened in your past, and I now have given you the residual payment or the product of what you dealt with in your past. That's what grace says. Grace says that when certain things happen in your process or on your way to do what you know God called you to do, and you make a mistake, grace got you covered. Grace has you covered. Follow me. I tell everybody, God inspires to tell everybody, go out and buy a cup. Go out and buy a cup. God inspires me to say, everybody go out and buy a cup. When I say that, let's say your spirit just didn't click with buying a cup. Everybody else's spirit did. Your spirit doesn't click with buying a cup. But you buy a cup anyway because you don't want to be outside the loop. When you buy the cup, God begins to bless everybody that buys the cup. He blesses you with buying the cup. But the reason he blesses you with buying the cup is because your grace-covered obedience produces the same thing as your total obedience. Say that again. Your grace-covered obedience does the same thing as your total obedience. Here's how it goes. Right now, everybody, don't buy a black cup. But if I tell everybody to go buy a black cup, if you all buy a black cup, the thing that God spoke to me about the black cup, you're going to get. So you don't have to worry about that. The key becomes when you buy the black cup in hopes of proving something right or wrong. You buy the black cup and you leave the residual or the product of what the black cup is going to do to God. You leave God, because that's a place where you're sowing, one planting, one water, God gives the increase. Why? Because when I speak these things, I do not speak them because I feel like speaking them. Right at this very moment, I can speak something because I feel like speaking it, but it would not have any effect and it would not have any power. However, for those of you that I say something, even if I say it within my flesh, those of you that say something about that, what you do is you then put yourself in a position while I'm on live on YouTube, you put yourself in a position where you now give God the trust that all things are going to work the way you believe them. Because what you've done is you've added belief to what was said. Let me take that a little deeper. I tell you, God is going to bless people with houses. Everybody that wants a house, God's going to bless you with a house. You don't really believe that, but I tell you, in order to do that, I need you to go look at your house. I need you to go, walk through the kind of house you want. I want you to, wow. I want you to go walk through the house, look at the house you want, and I want you to begin to tell God, thank you. I'm opening the door for what you told us through Prophet Dallas, Pastor Dallas, Uncle Dallas. Your faith in the word, not the person, in the word gives power to what you believe. You follow me? Everybody here that's within the sound of my voice, this is what I want you to hear. Everybody that hear this within the sound of my voice and want to change your living situation, begin to pray according to your living situation. Do not pray with the hopes that your house or your apartment or whatever is there. Begin to pray, God, open the door. That's it. Don't pray 5-bedroom, 2-bath. Don't pray certain neighborhood. Pray, God, open the door. Give me the favor in the areas that I move in. What you then do, and I'm going to teach you a quick equation. What you then do is you then begin to plant into the area. Send something to the organization. Begin to plant into that situation. Then that's number one, write it down, number one. Number two, plant. Number three, every day you give God appreciation for that thing till that thing becomes an unconscious movement in your life. God, I thank you for it. God, I appreciate you for it. God, I thank you for it. Then I need you to take that from that point on and go look. Just go look. Because here's the thing that grace is making us miss out on, or we miss out because of grace. Here's the thing. We don't walk in the opportunity for God to do something for us outside of this place. Let me tell you let me show you how that means. You follow me? Okay. You say, God, bless me with a new house, bless me with a new house, bless me with a new car. You don't go look for a new car. You don't go to where God has an opportunity to say, I don't know what it is about you, Miss Jasmine, but you were the 33,000th person to come in. And so now we're going to bless you with this car. You're not in situations and environments where God can bless you. You sit in the same environment. Those of you that want businesses, you don't look outside of yourself. You look around the same situations and you look outside. There are 3 billion people on this planet. There is no excuse for you not to be able to make money, to live a life that you want to live. You have to open yourself up to other opportunities. Give until it hurts sometimes. Try God. Say, God, I'm going to keep the amount of money I got for my bills, but I'm going to give all of it. I'm giving the rest of it. Here it is. Now I want to see what you're going to do, God. Because if you're God, you're going to take care of the things that I can't take care of. If you're not God, I'm going to just serve somebody else. Because you don't ever want to be in a situation where God is not God. But grace says you have to break the bounds. You got to get out. You got to go to other places. Why? Because you're asking God for a new house, but you've never looked at a new house. You don't go walking through new houses. You don't go through new house neighborhoods. And I'm not saying to go say, I want this neighborhood. I want this house. You got to get in the mindset of this is what I want to happen. You got to get in the mindset that it's time. When I first began to travel with the organization that I am part of now, well, the organization we started early in the early 80s. My first challenge was travel. So when I began to travel, I started looking for plane tickets. And what I found out is that plane flights were not as expensive as I thought. But in my mind, because I'd never been in them, I thought they were expensive. I didn't know the types of money you needed. I didn't know any of these things because I never moved past the point of where I've dealt with. You don't know what taxes are free, what tax benefits there are. You don't know what any of these things are that are happening in your life. You don't know what grants they have for you. You don't know because you say I want a house, but you only look at the area where you have power. Remember I said that earlier? You look at the level where you have power. That is not grace. That is ability. And so your ability never outweighs grace. That's why the writer says here, he said, when I am weak, when I don't have the money to get a house, when I am weak, when I don't have the money to get a car, when I am weak, when I don't have the money to find a husband, the ability to find a husband, when I'm weak, when I don't have the ability to find a wife, when I'm weak, when I don't have the ability to create peace, God says I'm strong. So I now depend on God's mindset to take it from here. So when I'm weak, I don't sit there and say that I'm weak. He said, let the weak say that I'm strong. How do I say that I'm strong? Because I am now in the process, in the PowerPoint, in the movement of the Spirit of God. So I'm depending on the Spirit of God. When I go look at a house, I'm not looking at a house going, what is my credit like? I'm going to look at a house that said, God, I look for something. I seek. If my people, no. Seek first the kingdom of God and his way of doing it. So when you want something from God, look for it. I tell you this. And I know I say it, and some of you hear me, some of you don't, so it bears repeating. Go until God tells you to stop. Research until God tells you no, go a different direction. But if you sit and do nothing, you're never going to get anything done. Move until God stops you. Very simple. Move until God stops you. Start walking in that direction. You want a new car? Go look for new cars. Go find out about new car rules. Go find out about laws. Go find out about tax breaks. Go find out about everything. Know so much about it that even if you don't get the car at the timing, you got enough knowledge that you can actually get online and start teaching people how to get new cars and then make money and buy your new car. It's a system, people. It's a system. Right now, there are a number of you that are pressured with financial need. Right now, first of the month, pressure just hit you. Anxiety hitting you. All these things are hitting you at the first of the month. What you need to start doing is living above the anxiety. Why? Because what I need you to understand is this. He's already made a way to satisfy that need. You need to figure out what that way is. He's already made a way to satisfy that need. You need to figure out what that way is and follow it. Follow that way like you follow nothing else in your entire life. Follow that way. Follow that way. Let God bless you. Stop praying thinking that you know how it's going to work out. Stop hearing thinking that you know all you have to do is wait on them. Start moving in a direction and let God begin to open up the doors for you and teach you. Let him teach you. Now, this is the last part I want you to hear. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Grace is sufficient. It says to be possessed with an unfailing strength, to be strong and sufficient, or to be enough. I need everybody to do this. Begin to pray, give, and live. Let me write that down myself. Begin to pray, give, and live. Begin to pray, give, and live. Hear me closely. I know this is going to be hard for a lot of you, but listen to me. Begin to pray at the level you want to live. Begin to give at the level you want to live. And begin to live at the level you want to live. When you go to the grocery store, go to the nicer grocery store. Let's do this. Pray. Pray at that level means you don't pray for at a point of need. You pray at the point that it's already accomplished. It's happened. When you have the car, you pray differently than you would when you need the car. I thank you, God, for my car. I thank you, God, that you've given me the ability to maintain everything with that car. That's the pray at that level. You don't pray, I've been so glad when you give me a car, God. I'm waiting for my car. Pray, give, and live. So when you pray, you're praying at the level that you want to be. You're praying at the level of millionaire. You're praying at the level of healed. You're praying at the level of married. You're praying at that level. And the way you do that is what you are asking for is already, hear me, a foregone conclusion. You don't pray believing that it's going to happen. You pray that it's like it's done. Then you give the same way. You give at that level. When you bless into the organization, when you help people, you give at that level. You follow me? Every time you get an opportunity, you give. Why? Because you have an abundance now. You have an abundance. But here's what I need you to do. When you give at the point that you plant. This is what I mean. Everybody that can, this is from me, give $100. Okay? Everybody can give $100. Pause. Before anybody moves, muscle, goes toward Cash App, goes toward anybody. Everybody can that gives $100. All right? Here's what I need you to understand. Assign that $100 to your prayer. Assign that $100 to what you're doing. Assign that $100 to what you want God to do. God, this is a move, my faith, not a seed. This is a move, my faith, to believe you're taking me to the next level. Some of you can give 100, then give 500. This is my prayer to go to the next level. This is my seed. This is my obedience to go to the next level. Now, those of you that don't have $100, you're going to now say, God, let me know when to give my 100. Let me know when to release my 100. Okay? Scratch money. Forget money. All right? Let's go. Let's get away from money. Everybody, we all need new cars. Let's all go for new cars. We all want new cars. Except me. You want a new car. First of all, don't look for a used car. Stop looking for used cars. Look for brand new cars. Cars that already have warranties on them. Cars that are covered from cover to cover. Cars that when something breaks down, you just take it back to the dealership. That's what you do. Don't look for a Bentley if you live in an apartment complex. Look for a car that is the car that you like at the place that you like, but get to another level. Okay? Let's forget cars. Okay? We got $100. We got cars. Let's forget cars. You want to be healed. You want to be healed? Okay, here's you need to give at a different level. You need to start studying about it, learning about it, reading about it, researching about it. You need to change your eating habits. You need to change everything about you. Change your atmosphere because the people around you are causing you to feel negative. You need to change how you deal with people. Stay at peace. Don't yell and fuss and scream. Don't get caught up in other people's business. Get the atmosphere changed at this level. The level is at a level of healed because at a level of healed, you wouldn't do certain things that you're doing right now. Okay, let's move that to the side. You want to be in a relationship. You want somebody in your life. Stop looking at it as there are no good men in here. Look at the fact that there are 3 billion men, 1.5 billion men on this planet. All you need is one. So you begin to prepare your nest for the husband that's coming. You begin to prepare your nest for the wife that's coming. Realize there are 1.5 billion women on this planet. And don't stop looking at stuff on things and trying to covet what they have. God, you know where he is. You know where she is. And I pray at this level where I appreciate she's on her way. I don't limit you to United States. I don't limit you to my city, to my state. I limit you to the person that is there for me. Give me a choice, God. All these things, you pray, you give, and you live. So now you've done that. And the living goes every week. If money is your situation, every week go to the nice mall. Go to the nice mall. Don't dress up, because let me tell you a little secret. People that have money don't go. I know the people that don't have money when I go to the mall. Because the people that don't have money dress up like they have money. The people that have money, you'll never know it. Talking to a guy coming out of the parking lot, and he's getting out of his car. I was riding with the guy that does our graphics. You may know Mike. And the guy pulls up. He goes, "What's up, Dallas?" I said, "Nothing." I said, "How you doing?" He said, "I retire." I said, "When will you retire?" He said, "I need to make $1 more million. Once I make that million, I'm retiring." I said, "I can write you a check." He said, "I'll take the check and you can take the Cadillac with you." But torn up jeans, his shoes were nice. No bracelet, no rings, no nothing. Why? Because that level doesn't have to be seen. Somebody need to hear that. That level doesn't need to be seen. I don't need to be seen at that level. I'm good. I walk a couple of cars down. One of my friends that lives here, one of the associates, the people that live here, he drives a Rolls Royce and a Bentley. You will never know he has either one of those cars. He's normally up in the gym. He dresses in regular times. When he goes gets in the car, he just goes to get in the car. He doesn't get sharp and match his pants with his shirt and a coat. He doesn't do that. He just gets in the car. Live at this level. If you got to go to the nice mall and buy one shirt, because what you'll realize is you'll go to the nicer malls and find out that people don't pay full price for the stuff. Sometimes the stuff goes on sale. Sometimes the stuff goes on clearance. Sometimes they add discounts to the stuff. But if you are living in a place where your environment produces more of the same, that's why you have a challenge. Go to the nice restaurant. Get appetizers. Nicer restaurants have nice appetizers. And sometimes they feed you so much food that you can't even finish the appetizer. What are you doing when you do this? You're igniting, turning on, and allowing your grace to be sufficient. You're allowing your grace to be sufficient. How many have really given to the point that they had to trust God? How many have really, when I say, hey, everybody give something, have gone to their saying, this is the limit. I've taken this thing to the limit to trust God? How many of you, when I said, I need you to pray, how many have prayed to the point that you have pushed yourself to the limit? When you push yourself to the limit, you go from yourself into the grace. And when you go into the grace, then God begins to bless you. You've got to push yourself into that level. You have to push yourself into the level sometimes when you can't be sad. You have to push yourself into the level where you realize that His grace is actually sufficient for you. For those of you that are following us, make sure you like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the little bell so you know that we're on. Today is Friday. It's Friday. It's normally Funky Shirt Friday, but I couldn't find my dry cleaner. This is so strange. I couldn't find my dry cleaner. I'm trying to go to the particular dry cleaner I go to all the time. I can't find the dry cleaner, so I'm just driving around. So now I got a back seat full of clothes. So what I need to do is find the dry cleaner to go take those clothes to the dry cleaners. I appreciate everybody that's a part of it. If you are part of the mentoring group, you're going to get a text message or an email about a 1 o'clock lunch and learn, because I have a way that I'm going to create an affiliate program for this next conference. And so everybody that wants to be a part of the affiliate program, which means anytime that somebody signs up, you get $100. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. At 1 o'clock, we're going to meet again. At 1 o'clock, we're going to go, and I'm going to take that and show you how to do it. Hello, young mentee, my young Jedi, Sister Sheila. But I want you to do it. I'm going to go ahead and answer questions on TikTok and Instagram for about 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah. I'm going to answer questions on TikTok for the next 5 or 6 minutes. But like I said, I want you guys to follow your grace. All the mentees, you're going to get a list of passages that are talking about grace. Go through the list this weekend. Really study your grace. Go do something different. Go give at a different level. If you don't have the higher standards, HOS, if you don't have the HSOlife Cash App, do it whatever you want. But do something to move you to the different level this weekend. Make sure you go through these passages for grace. I'll give you those passages. They will either be in the app or they will actually be emailed to you. So be expecting those and go through them this weekend. But I will see you guys on Sunday. I appreciate everything that you guys have done. I appreciate everybody that has joined us. I love you guys so very much. Y'all see I'm starting to bring the beard back. I don't think I'm going to let it get long this time. I think I'm going to let it stay short because it's a lot easier for me to deal with. But I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all. This is not an advertising moment. This is a teaching moment. So if you want to know anything that's going on, make sure you're at the 1 o'clock meeting. If you can't be at the 1 o'clock meeting, I'll make sure that I record it. All right? I love you. I praise God for you. And I will see you guys on Sunday section. Peace.